Planning on getting the A51 but don't know what to expect from the camera? Well, don't worry, this is the lazy reviewers bringing in the camera review of the Samsung Galaxy A51. Let's start off with the phone's camera specs. The main camera on the back is a 48 megapixel f2.0 sensor. The ultra wide is a 12 megapixel f2.2 sensor, and along with that we have a 5 megapixel macro and a 5 megapixel depth sensor. On the front we have a single 32 megapixel f2.2 sensor up in that hole punch. Now let's take a look at the camera app and then we'll make our way from there. On the top left of the screen we have all our settings. Next we have the flash, the aspect ratio settings. After that we have our filters and beautification in the top right. Moving on to the shooting options, in the far left we have our single take option. Next is the photo mode, then the video mode and a more options tab. Inside the more options we have live focus. Next we have macro mode. And then we have the night mode. There is also an option for slow motion and hyperlapse. We also have a pro photo mode here that we'll be taking a deeper look at later on in the video. Now let's take the phone outside into the real world and look at the camera samples. It is a bit rainy outside, so the shots aren't as well lit as they would be on a sunny day. The pictures on normal mode are pretty detailed and the colors are pretty accurate as well. Moving to the wide angle, here the colors are slightly oversaturated, as in the greens on the car and the reds on the buildings look way unnatural. Next up is the live focus. It does work on objects as well, as you can see here. Edge detection is pretty good and the blur is looking kinda natural as well. This phone does allow you to use single take, hence recording pictures and videos at the same time. Looking deeper into the pro mode, we have a lot of different options here to play around with. We have a focus setting, a white balance setting, and an aperture setting, along with an ISO setting. Moving on to the macro mode, here we're getting real close to the object. The quality isn't exactly great and the background is extremely blown out. Next up, the night mode doesn't do much in extremely dark conditions, but it does help in moderate lighting. Lastly, let's take a look at the front camera. It does manage to get a lot of the finer detail in good lighting, but in slightly bad lighting, the quality just goes away. Taking a look at the video from the back camera, first up at 1080-30 FPS, the video is pretty clear and stable as well. At 4K, the video is slightly choppier, but it looks pretty good as well. Next up, video from the front camera is pretty good at 1080-30 FPS. The colors are good and the stabilization is good as well. Overall, this phone's camera does work pretty well. It manages to get a lot of the finer details and the stability on the videos is good as well. The macro camera isn't great, but I don't know anyone who buys a phone just for the macro camera. Well, that's all we have for you today. Take a second to like the video and subscribe for more to the point unboxings, reviews and much more.